Good morning, everybody. You're tuned to Computers 2K Now on the Nissan Communications Network. I'm Amnon, your host for the next couple of hours, along with Spence.
Good morning.
Good morning. And Gal is here.
Good morning, everyone.
Good morning. Gal is still asleep.
Who woke up a few times during the night with the thunder? Yeah, the lightning woke me up.
We'll talk about
Literally.
this. We'll talk about this. Our number is 919-518-9773, Computers 2K Voice on Skype. And today's show is made possible by vMix Software, DudeInIT.com, and is sponsored by Tom Sinclair of Live Streaming Gear. Hopefully Nick will join us later. Yeah, it was a rough.
Yeah, 2 waves. But I remember laying in bed, we just woke up and I didn't realize it was a storm. And I'm laying there and my eyes are closed. And I'm like, this bright thing happened. I'm like, oh my gosh, do I have a problem with my eyes? It was the lightning. It was so bright. And we had a couple really close lightning and thunder together type moments.
Yesterday, we were supposed to have really rough weather in the area, and we did. But where I am, there was nothing. I mean, I was looking at the rain gauge, and it was just, a smidgen in there. There was no wind, there was no rain, and nothing. But this morning, there was apparently, in first thing in the morning was at about 6 o'clock. I guess we got almost an inch. But I was looking on the video. There was no wind. It was just raining.
I watched several storms on radar yesterday. Just miss us. Just go to the north.
Yeah, just kind of went around, dissipated. It was how was it at your house, Gal?
There was a lot of rain, some thunder outside, but like lightning, but
okay, yeah,
very wintry night.
No,
so
actually,
we had fish falling from the sky. It's pretty amazing. Ran out there. I got the freezer packed.
So, what else is happening?
What's the status of the Windows updates? I haven't. I put all my machines on hold.
No, I haven't seen a thing. Gal?
Everything is updated on my end. I haven't read anything specific.
Yeah. Mine is too. Why, Spence? Do you have any of those printers that they were complaining about?
What brand?
You were telling us that it's HP and whatever.
I don't know.
Why are you worried? Why are you worried about updating?
No, just because I use these machines on a regular basis, and if I just delay it a couple more days, if there's a fix.
No, yeah, a couple.
Like you've seen, if you go into update now, it shows that second fix that they came out with as optional. It actually lists it as an optional update.
Yeah.
And so what they should say is beware. They don't say that. They just say optional update that does this, but they're not telling you that why it's optional.
Yeah. I mean, just like Gal, I mean, all my stuff is updated.
I have
And-
Pam's machine is updated. I let it run because it was already partway through, so I just let it go. And my Lenovo machine, as far as I know, is but this machine and my work machine, I just put on a 7-day hold.
So, do you have enough RAM in your computer?
You can never have enough RAM.
Don't you want to put like 128 gig,
Why
Of
not?
course.
Is
Two-
it addressable?
256 gig? Samsung has unveiled a new RAM module that shows the potential of DDR5 memory in terms of speed and capacity. That's coming from Engadget. 512 gigabyte DDR5 module is the first to use high K metal gate technology, delivering 7200 megabits speed, over double that of DDR4. Right now,
What's the price tag?
they're not talking about it. So, it's just like when you see a car advertised and there's no
Yeah.
price. Oh, yeah, It says that right now it's aimed at data-hungry supercomputing, AI, and machine learning functions. But DDR5 will eventually find its way to regular PCs, boosting gaming and other applications. It was developed by Intel. It uses hafnium, Hafnium, instead of silicon. So it's using hafnium instead of silicon.
It's not unobtainium.
No. With metals replacing the normal polysilicon gate electrodes. So it's completely new way of building these chips. All of that allows for higher chip densities while reducing current leakage. So it's coming.
What they don't tell you is that it's 3 feet by 5 feet, and it takes 1,000 watts of power to run it.
Maybe today.
Yeah.
Yeah.
No, I mean anything starts out like this, right?
Right. That's what I mean.
Remember
So
when back in the earlier Intel days, when they were experimenting with new substrates and multi-layer technologies, and it's like, oh, they'll never get past this technology. Basically, we ran into a wall. We can't. It's not possible. Physics won't allow us to put this density on this, and it's like, oh yeah, now we can.
when you talk to me about layers, it takes me back to the XT and AT time, the 8088 and 286 boards that had the chips on board. You had to plug in the chips, individual chips, to get to 512. I can't remember, but then somebody came up with it, and we found out that you can take another chip and insert it into the same socket as on top of the other or the original chip, and you could get 640 or 800 and some. So that was layers, and it worked. I guess this is that was the beginning of layering chips, right?
I'm trying to remember when the first.
But Gal,
I've never really followed the technology, like never fully understood the technology of the
the original
wafer.
integrated circuits, not just a transistor on a board, but the first IC chips where they actually stacked or populated it with multiple transistors was a big deal. But then it was like, because they were relatively high when it comes to technology, thickness wise, and the way they used power was very different. So that's why you had those big chips with the large pins that you could pop in and out. And then the ICs started getting smaller and smaller and smaller and smaller and layered. Yeah, it's just sometimes you look at things and say, who thought of this? It's just no,
Yeah.
seriously. I mean, you think about it, somebody actually sat there and said, we can do this.
Yeah, and they did.
And worked on it until they could do it.
Yeah.
It's like when you watch these history shows about the building of ancient structures, and you think about how the intuitive grasp of just math that they had to understand, and they had no place to go get educated. They just had to use intuition and observation and look at things and say, well, if I did this, I could invented things out of nowhere and came up with ways to do it. So it's just amazing.
Yeah.
Watching the sky, calculating the orbits of looking at the constellations. There were apparently ancient peoples that understood that the Earth wasn't the center of the universe. Just from observing, they could tell that some objects were planets or different from the stars because they move differently, and they just intuitively understood that. But it was a lot of superstition too. But.
Yeah. Here is kind of like a disturbing story. Following the dismantling of several private trackers in 2020, a man has been sentenced for sharing thousands of TV shows and movies via now defunct torrent site Danish Bits. In a separate case, another man has been convicted of sharing 9,440 movies with a relatively small circle of family and friends using the popular Plex media server. It looks like they're going. I mean, they found that from there. This is. I wonder who convicted, who went after him, who did all that. They're not saying who did this.
Usually it's the FBI because they're the ones who are responsible for copyright enforcement. Remember when we used to watch a videotape, the splash would come up about FBI warning?
Yeah, that's right. When you rent one, yeah. Morning, Nick.
Good morning.
I was wondering what happened.
I was surprised you guys were on the air. I saw you guys were getting your ass handed to you last night with some
thunderstorms. Close, yeah. During the middle of the night, especially.
Yeah, those are the worst.
Did it come your way?
Why? No, we lucked out. I will say this. This is why when things close down early and nothing happens and everybody goes, rah, 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 this is why. I mean, I don't know if you saw the pictures from parts of like Arkansas and whatnot, but I mean, it was just tearing cities apart. Just like courthouses blown to pieces. I mean, it looked like a bomb went off. Some serious stuff. Doesn't always happen, thankfully, but it can. And that's why.
It's Mother Nature.
We have no historical perspective because this is not new.
No, but people get all bent out of shape if they're like, oh, like for like 2 Thursdays ago down here, there was a chance of really bad storms. So things closed at like 2 or 3 o'clock in the afternoon. I canceled an event I had because there was a chance of really bad storms. The day before, it killed 7 people in Alabama, that same storm system. Well, didn't even end up raining. The threat kind of fell apart, and everybody gets all bent out of shape about it. It's like, well, thank God it fell apart, and we didn't have to deal with that crap coming through. I don't know.
But they preempted Jeopardy.
Oh my God, no.
I mean, you got to,
it's ridiculous what they're preempting and just going over again and again and again and again. I mean, within 15 minutes, it's like they take a 2-minute story and repeat it.
And the night they preempted Jeopardy, they took the whole half hour. All they did was show maps and talk about who was in danger where. And
they're required to.
Plus they had The banner
The
which
banner.
they should have been running at the bottom.
Yep.
On the show was they were running it at the bottom and taking over the feed.
The
Well,
thing,
they're required to be on the air. If there's a tornado warning in their DMA, their designated market area, they are required by FCC rules to be on the air the entire length of that tornado warning.
oh,
Didn't
They're
know that.
required to be on.
the problem that I see, and there is no reason for it. Period. There is a banner running at the bottom, but you know how when school closing, then the actual programming, they raise it a little bit and the banner goes under.
Yeah, they shrink it.
During Jeopardy, for the last few times when they had banners running, they're running it on top. So what happens is you cannot see what the title of the puzzle is. You have to
What the
listen
category
in the
is?
beginning. It runs right on top of it.
Okay, so I can explain this from a technical standpoint.
Okay.
There's two different things.
We won our Jeopardy. What are you talking about?
When there's something like a school closing,
Yeah.
which is something that they electively put on the air,
Yeah.
right? So that normally doesn't run out of their master control. They run that out of their studio because they have graphics on it. It's sponsored by somebody. It's normally 2 or 3 lines flipping back and forth. That's fine. The EAS crawl, the tornado or thunderstorm warning crawl, it's an automated system. It's a box that sits right before the final program output. When a cap alert comes in, a CAP, that's the protocol that those things come on, cap. When there's a cap alert, that box throws it up on the screen. There's no control over it. Now they can modify it, but it's an automated thing. I mean, that's the nice thing about it from a technical standpoint is it's just there. They can't turn it off. I mean, they can't. They have to unplug it.
But I
That's
thought
their
the EAS goes on top.
It does.
No, this is on the bottom.
Well, it can be anywhere on the screen, but it's the topmost layer.
Okay.
You know,
It's an
in a
overlay. It's not
in a
the
video workflow. It is one of the last pieces of equipment before the broadcast leaves that site to go to the transmitter. It's one of the last pieces of equipment in the workflow.
and
Contrary to the school closings, which is done on a video switcher in a studio, right? Or that is produced that those graphics are produced in one of their many studios or in their master control set room. The EAS, the cap system, is a probably a 1 or 2 U box that just sits in the rack. Nobody deals with it. Video comes in, video goes out. That's it.
So when they do a school closing, they have to manually format, right? 'Cause
Correct.
They're getting data from. They
Yeah.
call the school district, or the school district publishes something. They can't just put that out over the air.
Correct. Yeah, and it's normal. And I don't know how it is up there, but I mean, back in New York, I mean, it was sponsored. They have a couple of companies that school closing sponsored by. I mean, it's a thing that they can. Yeah. It's a revenue generator, and it's something that they can provide. So with that, they pull in the video from NBC or ABC, whoever their network is, shrink it down a little bit, throw the background up, and then have their text below it. That's the difference. The EAS is not even switched on or off. It's an automatic thing that they have.
So if they are required to have it, how come it goes away during the commercials? In the commercials, they don't show it. It goes away, full screen, you see the whole commercial, and I'm saying, why? Money buys that. Because when the minute they come back to the program, bam, there it is. So
I don't know about your stations here, but down here, I mean, I haven't looked at one in a while, but normally they scroll the entire time.
Yeah. Anyway.
And then there's also, for example, if you have Spectrum.
Yeah,
Spectrum
they have their own.
Yeah. They do their own. So sometimes you can have a crawl from the station, and then the cable system crawls because a lot of stations on cable aren't local. So if you're watching HGTV and there's a tornado bearing down on your house and you're stupid and have no idea, you have no way to know until maybe Spectrum throws that EAS crawl, and that's a whole nother. That thing's a mess.
It's kind of like sit there and why do they have to do that? Now that what you just explained makes sense then.
Mm-hmm. which is good. I mean, at the end of every single television and radio station, their sole purpose for having a license is to serve the community. That is one of the most important things in their license. And if it can be proven that they are not serving the community, the FCC will take away their license. And that is part of quote unquote serving the community.
No, it makes sense.
So that's my rant.
Okay. All right. Maybe now you can also talk a little bit if you read anything about it. It says Microsoft is in talks to acquire Discord.
Yeah.
A video game chat community for more than $10 billion.
Yep. I think it's a great idea.
Discord will be built into Word and PowerPoint.
Yeah.
So we talked about this pretty extensively on Infection. I'll give you the quick rundown on it. So Discord is currently still not making money. They're still a loss leader. For example, in 2020, they had to go up and get about $500,000 worth of funding. $500 million worth of funding. They got like $450 million in funding. You can only get seed funding and angel funding for so long. At a certain point, you need to be able to convert funding into either you need to be profitable. I mean, you can't every single year you can't go back out and get $500,000 to run your company. I mean, they made decent money. They made $130 million last year, but they had to raise another $450 million. So they lost money. And with the seed funding or the angel investing, it's not free money. They have to pay it back in one way or shape or another. They're required to. I know people are hesitant, myself included, of Microsoft purchasing things, but if you follow Microsoft, essentially is there are a whole bunch of companies, but Microsoft Windows and that desktop, that's one side. The Xbox division, on the other hand, which is I'll call their gaming side, is actually pretty well run and maintained and managed, and actually very successful. They've done a lot of great stuff over the past 24 to 36 months on the Xbox side that has done a lot, and it's really put Sony in a precarious place with their PlayStation, with the Xbox Game Pass and Xbox Live and game streaming and xCloud. They've done a lot of really good stuff. Somebody's going to have to buy Discord because they're not making any money. So if that somebody happens to be Microsoft, I think they're the best buyer in the market. I'd rather have it be them than Oracle or Amazon or somebody else. I think it fits Microsoft's portfolio the best. And they have to get purchased, or they have to start charging for the service because they're
there's
getting
another
their arms
option.
chopped off. What is that?
They can go on IPO, and this is just shopping around to get a good valuation, right? And then they remain on their own. Because if Microsoft is willing to pay 10 billion, right? That's the number right now. Then that means that an IPO, right, might set them free. At least for another couple of years. So that's another option, which is very interesting. If you look at tech IPOs lately, right?
Bunch of them.
It's bonkers, right? It's like 75% increase on day one and stuff like that. So
if Microsoft, the reason the price is that high is that's money that needs to go back to the investors, I guess, right?
Well, I think that's part of it. I believe, I did the quick math on the show. I believe they have about $1.5 billion or so from public funding that we were able to scrape up.
Okay.
So they own, let's just say they owe $2 billion in outstanding stuff to previous investors.
Mm-hmm.
They're in early 2020, their valuation was $7 million. They've gained, 2020 was an incredible year for Discord, like it was a lot of other companies like Teams and Microsoft Teams and Slack and all of these remote applications. Yeah. They exploded during 2020. So the $10 million valuation, I mean, yeah, there is some debt involved in that, but there's also a lot of user data. I mean, they have 131 million active users a week or something on Discord. It's a crazy amount of users. It's nuts.
And it's mainly gamers, right?
I wouldn't. So Originally, yes, but it's changed. It's adapted recently where everybody remembers IRC chat rooms.
Yeah.
They have also taken over a lot of that market as well. Some communities that are not around game. I'm in a whole bunch of Discords that are not gaming related. But it's a majority gamer, yes, but they've done over the past probably year or two, they've been able to convert some of these groups that were maybe using TeamSpeak or Ventrilo or IRC or some chat service over to Discord because it's free. There's a good mobile app. There's a good web browser app. So I mean, it's more of a nerd thing. I guess, as you could say, you have to be on the nerd spectrum to probably be using Discord.
I don't like being characterized as being a nerd in the spectrum.
You don't like being on the spectrum, Spence?
No.
All right. Well, by the way, our number is 919-518-9773. Computers 2K Voice on Skype. This I'm not following. I don't understand. Brazil's Consumer Protection Agency has fined Apple nearly $1.92 million for selling iPhones without a charger.
Yeah, the most recent iPhone doesn't have a charger.
Fine. Who says you have to buy it? I mean, what is this suing a company for offering?
But depends on the laws in Brazil. Maybe there's a law.
Then the dealers should not have allowed it to be
not
sold.
Up to the dealers.
It's Apple. Apple sells it.
Well, that's what they said. They said that Apple's move was a violation of the country's Consumer Defense Code, according to the watchdog. Yeah. But I mean,
I wonder what led to them having that code.
In Brazil, I can't imagine that there were some companies doing any shady, nefarious things to screw consumers.
Nope.
It's just interesting that you're selling something, and I mean, how long has it been since they don't have a charger?
It's the most recent iPhone, so it's been out probably about a year, I would guess.
And it's a USB-C device, right?
No, it's still Lightning.
It's still Lightning?
I believe so. I could be wrong.
I think maybe one of the high-end new ones is.
Well, I believe it's Lightning to USB-C. It's USB-C on the other end, I think.
Oh,
it's no longer USB-A.
I see. It plugs into a USB-C,
I believe. I think that's what
it makes sense.
What
that makes sense?
The iPhone?
Yeah. Well, it's not USB native into the phone. It's still Lightning, but the other end of the cable is USB-C.
I believe that's what it is.
Yeah,
that's right.
Which is cool
a real
USB-C.
shame.
It's the same on both ends. Yeah.
They'll switch.
No.
So does Argentina, or does Brazil have a toilet paper roll count law? It says 1,200 sheets, and you can't have 11,999 or whatever. You have to have 1,200.
Did you see those advertisements for the paper towel that it's not only half a sheet, but it's a quarter sheet now? You can take the sheet and cut it in half, and it's a quarter.
Okay. It's actually a good idea. I tend to take the sheets and tear them in half if I only need to use part of it. That's the turkey. That's the turkey sound.
And again, about Apple, a judge has certified a class action suit against Apple for its fragile butterfly keyboard design. The suit covers anyone who purchased an Apple MacBook with a butterfly keyboard in 7 states: California, New York, Florida, Illinois, New Jersey, Washington, and Michigan. That includes people who bought a MacBook model dating between 2015 and 17, a MacBook Pro model between 16 and 19, or a MacBook Air between 18 and 19. The judge certified the case with 7 subclasses on March 8th in California, but the order remains sealed until late last week. It raises the stakes for a suit that was first filed in 2018, and I remember talking about it 3 years after Apple added the controversial butterfly switches to its laptop. That can be a really real problem. I thought they said that they were replacing those keyboards on some computers. But I'll bet if it started in 2015, they probably have hundreds of thousands of those. Maybe I'm giving him too much
credit. Stopped manufacturing them at one point, I think, but it's still ridiculous.
Yeah.
If I'm not mistaken, the suit found that Apple knew that it was crap and still shipped it. Right?
Wow.
So that's why, yeah.
That's when a company reaches the ultimate arrogance. Yeah. Is when they'll ship stuff knowing it isn't any good.
But when it comes to Apple as a hardware company treating the way it treats its consumers, they've always been this way.
Yeah.
I mean, you go back to the first iPhones, right? It took them to get to the 3rd generation to bring a standard 3.5 millimeter jack, right? And Steve Jobs had the audacity of going on stage and presenting it like as this new feature, and the crowd was roaring. I still remember that absurdity. It was like watching a parody, right, on Apple users, but this was like real life situation. Steve Jobs is presenting this new, and now we don't have a sunken 2.5 millimeter jack anymore. We have a 3.5 standard jack, and you can use any earphone you want, and the crowd roars, right? And that's Apple. They've always been that way. So I'm not too surprised. I'm just glad that finally the law has caught on.
Well,
look, it's the same with the way, I don't know, Samsung ships phones, and it's the way it seems that way with every big company that has a huge market share, right? There's a lot of mistakes being done along the way, but just Apple has always been this. It has cultivated this cult following, right? And suddenly, when it has this huge market share, right, which was not at the beginning. At the beginning, it was a niche. Apple was a niche. And so it's like, yeah, now we need to pay the piper, right? It's, I don't know.
They have to.
Yeah.
I worked for, I'll make it an unnamed company for many years that produced products, literally shipping them out the door, saying what the install guy in the field fix it. Literally did that. And then when it all blew up in their faces, they came in, and what did they do? They fired all the engineers. They didn't fire I don't know if they fired the managers.
The marketing.
They fired all the engineers who, it's not their fault. Now, unless they actively covered it up, which they probably just said, this doesn't work, we're trying. And amazing.
Yeah.
Yep.
If we build it, they will come. That's what they're.
And they do.
Yeah.
In droves.
So, Gal, what's new with cord cutting? What's new with anything? Is there any?
Not much. I've heard about the name. There was a new service I haven't heard about before, but unfortunately I didn't bookmark it, so I'll find it in a moment. Some new TV offering offering sports as well as everything, and they have like a very inviting offer at this point, including a 7-day free trial. I'll find them in a moment. So people were looking to cut the cords and keep just switch provider to some IP based or application based solution. It was like an interesting one, but again, probably the pricing and everything, it has to do with them being new, and it'll go away in like 6 months, like everything else, but something to keep an eye on.
Well, they may not go away, but their prices are going to go up.
Yeah. No,
Yeah.
I mean, yeah, it's like the offer.
Yeah.
It also seems that there's either I'm just becoming aware of them, or there are several new being marketed free streaming channels that are out there that are, it's like it's Pluto, Distro, all these different, and it's just they show up and you install it and you realize this is the same content as on the other one I already have. It's just everything's with commercials, and it's nice, but you can find it. You don't have to have all these apps.
Right.
I'm very happy with Philo so far. It's been working good. It's has the stuff I look for, the Discovery Channel and other shows, a do-it-yourself channel, History Channel stuff. Now I'll be upset if they move, which they appear to be moving certain shows over to Discovery Plus, and they won't have the content anymore on the other channels. So that will be a problem.
And talking about development, Hulu's Android TV apps can finally stream in 1080p on new NVIDIA Shield TV set-top boxes and Sony Bravia TVs, spotted by users on Reddit. And it was written by Gizmodo, Android Central, and 9 to 5 Google. Users first noticed the change in the app and device info page in the Hulu app. After updating, the app lists the new max video resolution as 1920 by 1080. It's sort of sneaky way to make the change. Looking at the update description on the Play Store, there's no mention of it. So it's possible something changed on Hulu's server side as well. But so on if you have an Android TV, Hulu can do 1080p now. Very important, right?
Well, when it comes to streaming, there's always an issue with high definition content.
Yeah, but I mean, did Spectrum ever change from max of 720p? I don't think so. They're still doing just 720.
Why? There are 4K channels, no?
I don't know that. Do they have 4K?
Supposedly have some 4K channels.
Okay,
Yeah,
but I mean,
I think there's always like that increase. It depends on the content provider, right? But
Yes.
let's say with Netflix, it was always important to have a box that streamed the Netflix content that had the DRM chips that Netflix approved, because otherwise you won't get HD content. It'll cap at 480p, right? So it's always been a chase of finding a solution for HD content, because there is piracy, right? And they want to make sure that the
higher definition,
the boxes at the end that the client runs, right, are not hackable, are not easily accessible by, unless you need to buy excessive hardware to grab the streams. So that's always been an issue.
It was always a selling point for the local station to say that their off the air is 1080p, while if you watch it on cable, it's 720. I remember somebody talking about it again and again and again.
Yeah, but let's look at.
Or maybe it was satellite. I don't know.
Let's look at the reason. Let's look at the reason for that.
Yeah.
So you're comparing internet to cable. Cable's a fixed pipe. Internet is not. Right. I mean, the reason that most channels on Spectrum, I'll use as the example because I don't know about the other providers, are 720p or 1080i, is because they have a limited number of channels that they can multiplex onto that piece of coax. That's the reason that you don't see, like, for example, DirecTV does have 4K channels. They can do that. Their bandwidth is far different than what Spectrum has to deal with, which is fitting channels on essentially a single piece of copper. I mean, that's pretty much what they're doing. It's digital, it's not analog, but it's still bandwidth that they're limited to based on how much they can push through a single piece of copper. So that's your difference. And that's what and the internet doesn't really have that. Now, of course, you have bandwidth limitations, but it's not a fixed pipe like Spectrum is or any other cable provider. Like AT&T doesn't have this problem. They've got a whole lot more bandwidth and space available on their UVerse system because it's fiber.
Yeah.
I talked to the AT&T guy out in front of the house this week, so they're ready to install it when I'm ready.
Nice.
Yeah, so I have to because I had trees removed and I have a bunch of churned up mulch and from grinding the stumps. I have to be prepared to tell them where I'd like the cable run because I'm going to do some landscaping. I have to be. That's the only reason I'm delaying doing it is because I have to have a plan.
Do you know these guys that are pulling cable on our street were working yesterday all day?
Yeah.
This time
Work
they were
hard.
actually, I think they were pulling the actual fiber because he was standing there pulling and pulling and pulling and pulling and pulling. I mean, for about 2 hours he was pulling and it was pulled farther.
Do you ever hear the machine that they use when they drill the initial hole?
Yeah.
Yeah, it's a pneumatic powered ram that goes underground. It's amazing.
Yeah, but
the AT&T guy said their biggest issue that they have with their service is cords being cut from for whatever reason. That's their biggest problem.
Well, you know why?
Yeah.
Well, I can tell you why they do that. Why here, when I got AT&T installed, they just laid the freaking piece of fiber across the lawn. It took it took a contractor almost 6 weeks to come out and bury it. They don't bury it. At least they didn't here. Now, since they're doing new installs for you, they might bury it.
No, it's going to lay there. He told me that. But I did get him to, I said, it's got to be 6 inches or more below the ground. You're not going to, because I showed him my Spectrum cable, my Spectrum coax, which has been exposed for years because they didn't lay it deep enough.
Yeah. So, and they'll have a contractor will just randomly show up and bury it. So no wonder it's getting cut.
Yep.
I mean, you're trying to cut your lawn with it. And unlike coax, which you can be rough with, right? To move it to cut the lawn or whatever, you have to be very careful with the fiber. If you kink it, you could
that's it.
shatter the glass and break the fiber.
Yeah. Well, you can just, if you bend fiber beyond its bend radius, you don't even have to kink it. It does what they call microfractures, which cuts down on the efficiency of the fiber.
Yeah. So fortunately, I don't have to worry about that. Well, unfortunately, I don't have to worry about that anymore with AT&T, but that's not here nor there.
And your Spectrum has been working fine all this time, right?
Yeah. It's slow, but it's fine.
Well, slower.
Well, yeah, absolutely. It's like driving a Ferrari for 10 years and then picking up a moped.
Yeah.
I mean, it works. It's just slow.
That's what they call the Green New Deal. That's what I heard anyway.
Oh, I can't wait. I still don't understand why they have to dig looks like every 100 feet.
Well, it depends on the terrain because out in our neighborhood, I watched them do this.
Yeah.
I only have one opening in my lawn because they brought it in from an adjacent property and didn't continue across my lawn, which is great. So it's at the edge of my property, but down the street, some people, the same width property, have 3 holes every, 25 or 30 feet. It depends on what's in the ground and how they're going through there as to how many holes. Some places they actually had to excavate the entire corner of this, like a corner property lot. They would bring in a backhoe because of something that was in the ground.
Oh. Across the front of our property, there's like 3 or 4 holes.
Yeah.
I mean, they're all covered and everything is.
Yep. It's all the limitation of their boring tool. Because if you looked in the hole, you'd see the interdeck just passing through. They're not terminating or doing anything with it. It's just the orange or yellow tube
The
that lays in the
conduit,
ground. Yeah.
Yeah. But we'll see what happens. All right. So all right, go ahead, guys.
I'm gonna butt in. So I posted that link. Fubo TV is the name. I haven't heard of them before, so
Yeah.
they look like an interesting offer. I'm not sure that the pricing is good, but they're interesting.
They're
Fubo,
advertising
football.
a lot.
Yeah, they're advertising. That's how I got to them.
Yeah.
It still looks, they're a new player. So if anyone's interested, it might be interesting. But I want to talk about a different type of cord cutting.
Mm-hmm.
Not from, traditional cable and stuff, but from our favorite online services that we all talk about, privacy concerns about them. And I'll start with YouTube. So one thing I discovered this week, and I shared it with Nick earlier, and I think also with you, Amnon, is there's this whole concern about your digital footprint with these ubiquitous services, be it YouTube, Twitter, Reddit, etc., Instagram. And there's a whole movement in the open source community, of privacy concerns, of let's find a way of still using these services, but not selling ourselves to them, right? And one of these projects is called Invidious. I'll post a link in a moment. And the whole idea of Invidious is I wanna still use YouTube. I wanna still see the videos on it. I want to maybe even subscribe to channels so I can see what my interests are updating and all that. But I don't want to be part of the Google platform. And so this group of people, they wrote a self-hosted, basically alternative interface where you just replace the domain name of YouTube with whatever domain name the hosted service is on. You can install it on your own server and then just redirect everything locally. You can install browser and mobile apps, at least for Android, mobile apps that redirect those URLs automatically to your local self-hosted service. And you can watch YouTube without ads. You can watch YouTube without tracking. And you can even, if you want, download YouTube content. And one of the interesting aspects of it, because it's a community-driven project, is you can set up the players in such a way that you can do things that weren't possible on the original YouTube player. For example, I can set it so every video, if it has captions, it should switch them on. And there are like 3 levels of languages that you can set up for it to switch on the languages. So if you want auto captioning, or if you want English, or if you want an additional language, and it'll try to show you those captions for every video. Simple stuff, right? Stuff that that are a nuisance, but now you have a way of controlling them, even though Google never provided you an interface to control that. So it's a very interesting thing. I can share my screen to show you for a moment how it looks. Let's do that.
Oh, I checked the Fubo prices.
And attractive, not attractive?
Well, they're
expensive.
They're expensive. Yes, their first tier is like $68 a month.
No, their first, no, you're right. Yeah, they've got some smaller tiers. If you're like if they have a Latino tier that's $33. That's their cheapest. It's just a bunch of.
Well, that's
Spanish
really,
channels.
I think, an add-on.
Oh, actually, you're right. It might be. Yeah, but you do get, unlike a lot of these other systems,
you get Showtime and other stuff.
Well, you get local channels too, which is something that, that's. It doesn't matter what you do. If you're going to have local channels, your cost is going to be that expensive. Go ahead, Gal.
Okay, so looks very familiar, right? The difference is this is on my local server. I'm getting it through my local server. Now, it's not a bandwidth hog or anything. It's just providing me a browser application, which is an alternative interface. What you see here is a list of my subscriptions, basically. Login is something that is possible, and that means I'm logging into the local instance, the self-hosted one. It has a local database that basically tracks, watch habits. One of the nice things about it is there's an import option. Log in. There's an import option where you can import from your YouTube subscription. So you go and do a takeout from Google, get all your subscription in, and then you start following on your local host. And there's a lot of public hosts as well that are hosted, so you can use those to test it. And as I said, with the browser application, whenever I click a YouTube link that somebody sends me, or email or chat or whatever, it just goes to this version of it, and I can just watch it from there. So if I'm search works as well. So if I search for something, I get results. This search is on YouTube, but brings the results through here. I get everything in a very clean interface, fully controlled, and bypasses all ads and all that. So those people who are interested in this type of privacy-focused interface, there's this Invidious, which is the project for YouTube. There are projects like this for using Reddit, for using Twitter, and for using Instagram. And it's a very interesting concept. So I'm playing with that right now, and Amnon, maybe we should host an instance for our show, one that allows people to watch it without the intervention of big data.
I don't know how big data intervenes with the way that we do it now.
They just track our end users. That's all. And the whole idea here is that this circumvents tracking. It's like using sort of a proxy. Videos themselves, they still go directly from my browser, right? My browser is pulling the video directly from YouTube. It's just
I'm wondering,
the interface just supplies all of the obfuscation, right, of the identity. So
I mean, yeah, we can, if that helps, then we can do it. But I would think that the only user that they see, let's say if you're watching channel 1, which is YouTube, the only user is Nissan Communications, because Nissan Communications is the only one that is going there to get it. It's embedded. And when they're here, I don't know.
It's embedded. If I'm logged into YouTube,
Yeah.
right, and now I go to your site and see the embedded video,
Yeah.
it's my user who pulls in the video.
Okay, but what if
because the
you
cookies are exchanged?
But what if you go to the website and click on the video?
I'm talking about your website.
But you don't sign into anything.
You're already signed in. The
Right.
cookies are already in the browser.
Right. That's what I'm saying. That Nissan Communications is signed in to get the embed. So do they still see?
No. The embedding code, you got it through Nissan. That has nothing to do with anything. The fact that somebody is on your site watching an embedded piece of content, it's still their browser, their cookies that goes and grabs that stuff.
All right.
Yeah.
Yeah, so we can definitely do this. I mean, I have no problem with adding more features that will protect the other side. Absolutely. Hey, Spence.
Yes, sir.
Are you ready for?
I've already started them. You didn't hear me?
Oh,
I'm halfway through them already.
dang.
Oh, wait, my mic was off. Sorry, I forgot.
Oh, so that's
No,
what it is.
That's it. Yeah, that's it. I'm ready.
Let's see here. And we put specials.
There we go. Today's theme is inventions. Inventions everywhere. So I found these unique products. They're available today, by the way. These are not concepts. You can buy them. Well, that's not really true, but let's pretend. Did you see the Amnon? You could make some serious money here. It's a credit card toilet paper roll dispenser.
Oh,
MasterCard and Visa accepted. We'll set these up in all truck stops and rest areas. We'll make a fortune.
hey, set it up at home.
Well, the extension cord isn't very long, so we're going to have some technical issues around that. But the next one is the touchscreen mug, coffee mug.
Is that a switch in the handle?
Drinking your coffee in the morning, you don't even have to have your phone or your tablet with you.
Is that a switch in the handle?
On the side, that's the zoom in and zoom out.
Oh, interesting.
It could be whatever we want it to be. It's not real.
Yeah.
Next, I love this mouse with the built-in camera. Isn't that clever?
So it'll show.
What happens though when you use it? Doesn't your hand cover the camera?
Yeah.
Well,
no, it's X-ray, so it goes through the hand.
That's it. It goes through your hand. That's good. Actually, it's also a diagnostic tool for doctors, so they can scan for carpal tunnel while you're working. That's what it's really for. This next one is great. Just got a water-resistant monitor with a built-in windshield wiper. So if you're working outside and it's raining, you don't have to worry about it. It keeps the screen clean for you. That's very clever. And then we've got the cigarette lighter cell phone. Now, I don't know why this didn't take off yet. This is great. Great idea. Isn't that a great idea?
Yeah.
Absolutely.
I tell you. And then finally, the hammer cam. So you've got, if you're on the job and you want to record what you're doing, like you're building something with a hammer, you turn on the camera, it records everything.
This is great for serial killers, though.
Oh, Gal, come on.
Oh. All right. Okay, we won't go there.
You're gonna have to completely take it back. Completely take it back. Okay.
All right. So we have a couple of slides here with kind of everyday stuff. I didn't depart too much from our normal format. We will at the end here. I've got some new products, some actual real new products we can look at. But Staples electronic deals today, they've got good deals on laptops, on monitors, on desktops. starting with a Lenovo IdeaPad 14-inch. So this is definitely a business travel-like laptop. 8 gig of memory, 256 SSD. It's got a Intel i5 of 519, which is normally 679. Got a HP 24-inch or 23.8-inch LED monitor for 109, normally 134. Lenovo Idea Center desktop i5 for 399. That is a deal for an i5. Normally 599, so it's 200 off. Lenovo IdeaPad 17.3-inch with an i3 for 389, which is normally 539. So that's a good deal. I might have that. Might look at that later for someone. I've also got an HP 15.6-inch i5 for 479, which is normally 589. Apple AirBuds Pro. Don't know. It doesn't say what generation it is. I assume it's either the last or the newest generation for $199, $50 off. Got a couple of different 5-packs of USB 2.0 flash drives, either 8 gig or $18.99 or 32 gig for $26.99. Those are Verbatim brand. Got a Seagate One Touch 2 terabyte external hard drive for $59.99, normally $82. Still having trouble finding Brother printers out there. Just thought I'd mention that, or at least not finding them on sale. But here is a pretty good deal on a color laser. It's a Canon image class color laser for $244, normally $279. So even the base price was good. If you're looking for an inexpensive tablet, now I don't know if this particular Amazon Fire 7 is with or without advertising. Normally you pay more to not have the advertising stuff appear. So this is $39, 10 off. So look at that. If that's something that you don't want to deal with, you can always pay later to have it removed. But check that out. But if you want just use once and throw away tablet. I have a Fire 7. Gosh, it's probably the second generation. I've had it forever. It still works good. I use it. I don't use it for everything. I don't use it for mail or anything like that. I use it for sometimes just gaming, doing a crossword puzzle or a jigsaw puzzle or something like that. I've got a Verbatim 64 gig micro SD with a SD adapter, so it can be used both in a micro and regular SD slot for $9.99, and this is a class 10 SD micro SD card, and it's normally $34. And finally, Logitech MK360 keyboard and mouse combo for $29, which is $5 off. And that's all at Staples. Going to Office Depot, got an HP 15.6-inch Ryzen 3 laptop for $419. That's 20 off. Lenovo T450. And actually, I actually put the refurbished one in there. I didn't mean to do that. I noticed that. So if you're interested in a refurbished machine, it's a pretty good deal. It's a higher end, definitely higher end laptop because it's a 450 i5. But I didn't mean to put the refurbished in there, so treat that accordingly. Got an HP desktop AMD Ryzen 5 for $449. That's 50 off. Got an HP all-in-one desktop. Now, I would consider this an entry level. It's an Athlon processor, which I believe this one is a quad core. This is kind of like the Pentium quads that they have out there, entry-level quad processors. This is with 4 gig of memory. But if you need something in a situation like this where you want a controlled environment out on the dining room table or something like that, multiple users, this is a good entry point. So it's normally $429, on sale for $399. Got a Western Digital 1 terabyte portable drive for $47.99. So the prices of these, sale prices of these are good. I think the cheapest I ever got a 1 terabyte drive was $45. So it's 27 off. Got a 256 gig USB 3.0 flash drive, $32. It's $37 off the regular price. Got a Western Digital MyBook 8 terabyte external hard drive for $159, which is $126 off the regular price, which means the irregular price was ridiculous. That was a little high. So check other places check other sources for this to see if the 159 is actually a good deal. For the prices on these have been coming down. I've got a Canon mono laser printer. It's not an all-in-one. It's not a it does not have a sheet feeder, but it's 109, which is $50 off the regular price. And we have an Epson XP7100 wireless inkjet all-in-one color printer for $159. This would be considered an entry business class duty cycle. So 40 off. And we've got we usually mention TP-Link routers. And this week we have one that's a more of a high-end one. I like the C7 just as a good utility. It works good, reliable. But this is the TP-Link Archer Tri-Band AC router, the C4000, 149, which is 50 off. Keep in mind that to use a tri-band, to take advantage of all three bands, you do need to have an adapter that works with tri-band. So typically you're not going to get a tri-band in a laptop unless it's a high end.
But it's okay. It still works.
It will still work, absolutely. And it does have features that are part of the AC standard, the MIMO features and all that do make it easier for anybody to connect because it has better channel management and so on that are usually not part of the other lower end ones. But you can buy an AC adapter. The next one is a TP-Link AC1300 dual band USB adapter. So if you could take an older laptop or a desktop that doesn't have Wi-Fi, older Wi-Fi, for $29, you can upgrade it and use the features of the dual band. And that's $29, which is 10 off. And finally, I did not know Brother made these high-end scanners. Some of these other manufacturers, they start in the 350 range and go up, like the Fuji Scan. But this is a Brother colored duplex document scanner, multi-sheet feed document scanner for $279, which is $50 off the regular price. Okay, so the next things we're going to cover, these are not gag products. These are real products. Some of them are a little unusual, but I love the concepts of some of these. The first one is the Vionis, I don't know if I'm saying that is the name of the company, Vespera Telescope. And it is a controllable telescope. You set it down on the ground and it will track or find in the sky using software what you're trying to look at, which is pretty cool. And then put the image on your smart device, which I thought is pretty cool. Now, it's expensive, but if you're into this and you have a situation where you can use it on a regular basis, it's a really cool idea. Once it gets set up, it uses built-in GPS to find its position. And then if it, I don't know how it communicates Bluetooth to your device. I don't know if it has Wi-Fi, but I thought it was really a nice concept. Very small, very compact. You can take it with you, folds up nice. But it's their software, I think, is the key to this working nice. But I put the links for all these things in these document here, so you can go take a look at them. The next one was very interesting here, a smart USB-C monitor with speakers and remote. So this is not a television, although you can use it as for any streaming device, but it has built in trying to see here what it says here. AirPlay 2, remote access. Sorry, I'm trying to figure out what the features were here, but it looks like it looks like the Amazon. Kyle, can you tell the difference here? Is this Roku or Amazon? Or
well,
generic?
it's not that, it's Samsung. So
it's their system. Okay.
Yeah, it's their
That's
system.
right.
Yeah.
but
it's
it
like
looks
it's like a smart TV without the tuner. I think that's
without the
basically
tuner,
what it
yeah.
is. Yeah.
So, and it comes in different sizes. So that's an interesting idea. Okay. Now you would think that the toaster gags have been overdone. Well, this is not a gag. This is a high-tech toaster that will supposedly produce the perfect toast. And it has charts. It has an app. This is an amazing thing. It tells you, like, if you need to add moisture through this little slot in the top so that it toasts perfectly. It will do, and it also does, like, it's like a little oven too. It will warm up your pizza. So if you want to look at this thing, it's expensive. It's out there, but it actually can look at, calculating what different heat at different humidities do for toasting.
Looks
So
like you need a degree to use it.
Yeah, probably, or a smart app to do it.
But the degree needs to be in Fahrenheit or Celsius?
Both. You need to be able to calculate and switch back and forth instantaneously. I always have trouble with that. I can approximate it in my head. I can't get it exactly right. But okay, so this next thing, I was trying to actually think about, well, what is the real need for something like this? I have adapters that work with my iPhone because it's Lightning that convert to analog audio. The problem is they're junk. They don't work very well. And if you get the kind that has the charger built in, I found that I had a problem when I use that adapter. It's got a Lightning out to a mini plug analog audio and another Lightning in for charging. My battery gets really hot. So the technology, whatever's in the charging circuit, is not good. So this claims to be a very high quality converter from digital to analog. So some people prefer analog over digital for sound reproduction. So interesting. It does says that iOS requires a Lightning to USB camera adapter. I don't know what that looks like, but it's the Helm Bolt DAC amp, high definition digital analog converter. This new camera, and when I first looked at this, I thought, oh, this is a toy. Well, look at the price. This is the British page for this, but it's 999 pounds.
Yeah.
Which makes it what, about $1,500, maybe more. I'm not sure what the convergent rate is right now. And I didn't put a lot of detail here. You can go look at the Owl Labs webpage. What this does, it's absolutely fascinating. You can take a room filled with people, and if you watch the video, you see what it does. It is smart enough that it will zero in on the speakers and divide their video into little windows and track people. It's amazing. It really does. I thought it was such a great, and it's a speaker device. So all you need is this to do your meetings with. And they show how you can see on the top of the graphic there, it shows a wide angle view of what the room looks like. And then the bottom one is, and this will be, if you look at the webpage, this will be a video that's playing, shows how it treats each of the speakers. How it will zoom in and zoom out on the speakers. It will actually track them as they move around the room. It's pretty cool. And keep those windows separate. So I thought this was a really nice high-end webcam, essentially, but very good for conferencing. If you want a really professional look, if you do a lot of remote presentations to customers. Then, as if Zoom wasn't already an integrated part of our lives, they've created this thing called the Zoom for Home. It's apparently D10 is the name of the product or the display technology that they're putting this on, but it's a $600 screen. It actually serves. It's 27 inches. It serves as a second monitor if you need that, but it is a full-time Zoom device that will let you run your conferences from this tablet. So it can be dedicated, but it can also be used as an extra monitor. So it does Zoom conferences all by itself. So very interesting what I like about it is the fact that it's dedicated, so it could be used in a conference room and just sit there. So yeah, interesting stuff. So that is it for Computers 2K Now specials for March 28th, 2021. I think you should get one of these Zoom things, Amnon.
No.
Use it for the show.
No.
Why not? Or at least get one of these cameras.
Too restrictive. Too restrictive.
You need to get a camera, the Owl.
Now,
Owl
that is something, yeah. I think I'll get 2 of them, 2 or 3 of them.
Yeah, why not?
Yeah. 1 for each of us. And then you can move around in the room.
That's right.
You don't have
Although
to
there's
sit there.
probably some things you don't want that tracking you're doing. Is this the who was the guy that got thrown off of he lost his job at a news station? I don't remember his name. But there have been some high profile what's called them irregularities in Zoom sessions when people didn't realize their camera was on.
There are always irregularities, like
sure.
right now.
But some of them were worse than others. Way worse.
Yeah.
Jeffrey Toobin, I think his name was. Oh, well.
Well, thanks, Spence.
Nothing else he ever did in his life will be remembered. It'll just be that one thing.
That's how it always is.
Yeah.
And it seems like, I don't know, it rang a bell today. That TP-Link, did they buy Radio Shack? Because Radio Shack parts were always at the Archer.
Archer. Yeah, it's a good question. It's a good question. I think, who knows?
Oh.
Maybe it was they found that it was no longer a copyrighted
I
name.
don't know. It must be copyright. Come on.
I don't think they'd really want to associate themselves with Radio Shack, to be honest.
No. Anyway, Gal, any comments about what was in the special? So all of the major carriers, cell phone, made a significant change to how SMS messages are routed to prevent hackers being able to easily reroute a target's texts, according to an announcement from AreaLink, the communications company that helps route text messages. The move comes after a motherboard investigation in which a hacker with minimal effort paid $16 to reroute our text messages and then used that ability to break into a number of online accounts, including Postmates, WhatsApp, and Bumble. It's exposing a gaping hole in the country's telecommunication infrastructure. So they made a change to the way that they are routing it. Time will tell, but maybe they're doing something that will help. Maybe they care. Nah.
No way.
Now, listen to this. Utah Governor Spencer Cox signed a bill on Tuesday requiring all cell phones and tablets sold in the state to automatically block pornography. In order
Good
for
luck
it
with
to,
that.
Huh? Good luck with that.
Good luck with that.
In order for it to take effect, though, at least 5 other states have to pass the measure. The bill, which is HB 72, is aimed at establishing filter requirements and enforcement for tablets and smartphones activated in the state on or after January 1st of the year the measure takes effect. Manufacturers that don't abide by the law could face fines of $10 for each violation with a cap of $500.
This reminds me of something.
The bill sponsor said that she was grateful that Cox signed the bill, which she said was aimed at keeping porn away from children.
So the guy who signed away a bill against porn is called Cox? Okay. So this reminds me of something like really ridiculous. I used to work for, did support for a company that sold secure web gateways. That's a proxy server that you install at the edge of your enterprise, and all traffic goes through it, and it filters whatever comes in, right?
Yep.
So this one customer was the courthouse for the district around Rome in Italy. And I was on site visiting the guy over there, helping out with a project that they had. And I'm looking at the system, and I'm seeing there's these slew of features that are just switched off. And I'm talking with the tech, and I'm saying, if you switch these on, things will work a lot smoother because it filters things before. It was a web URL categorization, basically. And the default settings are blocking, adult sites and Juarez sites, and, everything that has to do with gambling, etc. And he says, yeah, you see, that's the problem. I can't block a judge's access to porn. Because if I do that, then I need to report whenever he goes to a porn site. And at the beginning, when I tried that, the excuse was that they need it for a court case. So, yeah, good luck blocking by default porn on whatever platform it is. It doesn't really matter.
I mean, look, if they don't, the weird thing is, if they don't comply, if it becomes law and they don't comply, so it's a cap of $500. Fine. Well, I mean, it'll cost them more than that to get a programmer to do anything about it.
Is that per device, though?
I don't know. It doesn't say. If they don't abide by the law, could face fines of $10 for each violation. Oh, so every time something comes up, not per device. Yeah, so it can, no, you're right. It's it can add up.
It can amount.
Yeah, it'll add up. It's just interesting. It's funny.
Yep.
And YouTube is always running experiments. One of the latest, testing an automated list of products detected in videos uploaded to the site. So if they see in a video that you uploaded to the site any products, as of March 22nd of this year, that test is being expanded to people watching videos in the US, according to YouTube. In one of its blogs, a YouTube representative gave little more detail about how this particular feature will be deployed. We are experimenting with a new feature that displays a list of products detected in some videos, as well as related products. The feature will appear in between the recommended videos to viewers scrolling below the video player. The goal is to help people explore more videos and information about those products on YouTube. So if right now Nick picks up a guy is picking up a mug and drinking his coffee, and on it says, some name brand of something, which nobody in the audience will be interested in. Nobody would even notice it. There'll be stuff added to the bottom there, and it'll give them more information about that product. I wonder if they're going to make money from that product, from the manufacturer of the product by doing this. I don't know what it's going to do. Yeah.
Well, it'll start by by linking to that information, and then it'll be advertisement link, right?
I guess.
Let's say a shop on Amazon would pay for the first link to go to their shop, right? So affiliate links, basically.
Yeah, but remember, this is not a planned thing. This is just, hey, I saw a craftsman tool.
Yeah.
That somebody was a hammer that somebody was using. Well,
right.
now you can go.
And so a shop that sells the craftsman's tool, right? They could buy priority.
Oh, I see what you mean.
For the links to go to their shop.
Yeah.
Right? Affiliate links, basically. And so whenever that link is clicked through a video, right, then it's advertising money going in.
That's true. That's true. Yeah. Yeah.
The way the internet works, man.
Here's a something to be aware of. Security researchers say a powerful new Android malware masquerading as a critical system update can take complete control of a victim device and steal their data. The malware was found bundled in an app called System Update that had to be installed outside of Google Play, the app store for Android devices. Once installed by the user, the app hides and stealthily exfiltrate data from the victim's device to the operator's servers. Researchers at mobile security firm Zimperium, which discovered the malicious app, said once the victim installs the malicious app, the malware communicates with the operator's Firebase server used to remotely control the device. The spyware can steal messages, contacts, device details, browsers, and blah, 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 blah. So if I don't know, why would anybody want to install something called System Update when System Update happens automatically from the carrier?
Yeah.
But if you feel like you need to, be aware. And talking about updates, I was using for a long time, I was using the email app on my cell phone was Droid, Mail Droid. Well, it stopped working. It'll stop for a few days and I don't get anything. So I was talking with Nick. Nick says, hey, I'm using Blue Mail. So I downloaded Blue Mail and installed that. Works like a charm. No problem whatsoever. It's been a few months. The other day, I'm sitting there and I'm looking and I'm seeing on the screen that it says that Blue Mail keeps crashing. Send the report. So I sent the report and I saw that it's going to Google. And okay. And I try it and I try it and I try it. And it just doesn't, nothing happens. It keeps you, it comes up and bam, it shuts down. So I said, oh, well. So I went and looked and I found another one, Aquamail or something. Installed it. Everything works okay. A couple of days later, I get the same notice about the Alexa app keeps crashing. What the hell is going on? So I tried it again and again, nothing. I went to uninstall it and I said, oh, I'll just uninstall it and reinstall it and see. When you go to the app page, you also have the option to clear the cache and clear the storage. I cleared both. Started it, worked like a charm. So I put the username and password, all the configuration was still there and it worked. I said, well, that's interesting. I still had Bluemail installed. I never uninstalled it. So I closed Aquamail and I clicked on Bluemail, crash. I said, okay, let's try it. I went to the device, to the app, and I just cleared the cache. Went back to the desktop, clicked on it, came up, normal. So I'm waiting for it to happen on something else yet. But it seems like all I had to do in the beginning was clear the cache for that quote unquote crashing app. When it crashed, it gave you those three, I can't remember, it was app info, report, or close the app. So I closed the app. The next time you fire it up, you click on it, it comes up, and right away it goes back to the desktop, to the home screen. You click on it again, and it comes up with that error. Now everything is working. Everything is fine. Didn't have to reinstall the Alexa app, and probably didn't have to reinstall, even though I reinstalled. Yeah, I did reinstall Bluemail, and it still did it. After clearing the cache, everything's fine. So if you have anything like that, try that first.
It's a very common problem with Android.
Really?
I remember when I had my couple of Android phones.
Yeah.
I had sporadic. I mean, iOS has the same issue, but I remember clearing the cache and having to delete apps and reinstall apps was one of the reasons I switched to iPhone. It was more common than I would have liked to deal with. It was frustrating that, every once in a while an app would just stop working and you'd have to go and clear the cache or uninstall it or even switch. Like I remember I had to switch email apps once because I couldn't get it to connect to one of my accounts. It just wouldn't connect.
Mm-hmm.
Install another app, it connects right away. It's just the same server settings, same port, same SSL. I mean, everything's the same. It's just frustrating.
Yeah, that's the problem I had with MailDroid, that it couldn't connect to the server. And Bluemail right away did it. So I said, well, they're just going bad. But apparently maybe they didn't. It was just the cache, and never thought about it. So it's interesting. If you do have that problem, try that first. Don't get frustrated. And then I found out that actually, I think it's Bluemail. Yeah, Bluemail, in the options somewhere at the bottom, it says clear cache. So in order to clear the cache, you just go to the apps in your settings and click on the app, and it will open a screen that will allow you to uninstall it or whatever, and to clear the cache. If you clear the storage, then you're going to have to add all the credentials and everything that you did. But if you don't, it'll stay there. All you have to do is just go back and use your app. Everything's fine. Interesting. So I just thought I'll let you guys know.
Did you happen to see the story about there was an Easter egg hidden in Windows XP?
Oh, yeah.
That they found 25 years later?
Oh, no, I didn't see that, but there were quite a few of them.
But nobody saw this until I don't remember the circumstances why they were looking for it.
Some of them will come up at certain dates.
Well, this was just a developer team.
Yeah.
That developed, let's see, what was it? Windows 95 Internet Mail Program. And it's just, if you put in a certain string, it would pop up and show like a display of all the developers' names scrolling around.
Yeah.
Credits. Yeah. But nobody knew about it. 25 years. It's not there.
Oh, I'm sure somebody knew about it.
Well, yeah. But they didn't tell anybody.
Right. Yeah, but there were a few of them that would come up at certain dates. Suddenly something will pop up years later.
Oh, Windows 95, not Windows 98. Not Windows XP.
Oh, that's in the beginning.
Yeah. Yeah.
And with the way that things are beginning to reopen and restrictions are eased and all that, according to Deadline, Warner Brothers will return to releasing its theatrical films exclusively in theaters next year, ending the studio's 2021 experiment of releasing major films simultaneously on its HBO Max streaming service and in theaters for the first 30 days they're released. So they're going to go, they're figuring the next year it's going to be there, which it should. At this pace, everything should be fine then.
What theater was it? Regal that completely just shut down and threw in the towel and they're gone?
No, they're coming back. They did close down, but they're reopening. Regal and AMC are both reopening.
Okay, because I thought that they just went bankrupt and left.
Well, they did cease operations. Regal did back early last year. They ceased operations, but they are reopening.
They're merging. Well,
I'm going to be honest. I mean, I'm not a big movie person, but I don't find movie experiences to be all that amazing. I mean, I'm not, and let me be upfront with this. I'm not a sound phobe or a resolution phobe. Like, I mean, I'll watch content 720p. I watch content 480i or 40p. I don't really care. So I understand some people are all about the cinematics and the 8K and the THX or THQ sound system. But I mean, I don't find movies to be all that great of experience. You got to deal with other stupid people in the theater. It's expensive. I don't know. I kind of hope they wouldn't come back.
No,
I'm being serious. I'm kind of hope that theaters wouldn't come back. It's an old, antiquated. We talk about antiquated ways of consuming things. In the era that we're living in right now, can you think of a more antiquated way than having to drive somewhere and sit in a theater to watch a movie that's coming in that's somehow exclusive? Like, you can't get that anywhere else.
Well,
talk about antiquated technology. That whole idea is antiquated.
Think about how unfair you're being to the overpriced popcorn industry.
No. Come on. I mean, I can see one reason why they should be there. Think about the guy who's going on his first date, picking up that girl, and they're going to the movies. What are they? Let's go where? Come on. They go somewhere. It's dark. He can put his arm around her.
Not with COVID. You have to wear masks and be 6 feet apart inside the theaters. You can't even do that anymore. Well, yeah, but then you don't have to worry about Pee Wee Herman in the movie theaters if they close down. You have to worry about his time glory.
You go to Senior Bistro or to Amazon, or not Amazon, Alamo, and have your food experience there on the recliner.
See, that I'm into. So for people that aren't familiar with Alamo, that's a kind of like a dinner and a show experience. Now that I'm cool with, and I think that's useful, right? It's more of an experience, but just a traditional Regal or AMC movie theater, I don't find to be that great of an experience.
The Alamo model is really unique too, in that it's not just the movie and the food. The lobby is cool. You know, you can go in and for free, you can borrow videotapes and DVDs to watch if you join. And you can go in there. And when we were there one time, they had robotic C3PO, not C3PO, R2D2 and BB-8 running around, just talking to people. It was amazing. It was just a fun experience. And the prices are reasonable. Cine Bistro tends to be really expensive. I've been there a couple of times and just
see, I can deal with an expensive price if you're getting the whole experience, right? It's a little more price. It's like going to a comedy show. I mean, if you go to like a Good Nights or any of those a comedy show up in Raleigh, it's expensive to get food. It's expensive to get drinks, but that's part of the experience. It's a multifaceted thing. I don't find the movie theaters to be multifaceted. You're literally just sitting there watching. Alamo's a different experience.
Yep.
So those I think should be, I mean, obviously, I don't think people are going to go back to movie theaters.
What's amazing
they were already
about
failing industries. Let's be honest. I mean,
You
they
could
weren't thriving.
You could buy snacks in a regular movie and spend as much as you'd spend on food at Alamo.
And that's my problem right there. You're buying microwave hot dogs and popcorn when you could go to Alamo and get, decent bar food essentially.
Yes.
And a movie. I'd much rather do that.
No.
So and again, as I said, it's not like this was a thriving industry. I mean,
no, it was not. It's been declining slowly. Yeah.
And again, why were they in decline? Well, it's antiquated. The concept is antiquated.
It is. You're talking about the media consumption model, right? And yes, it's antiquated, but they are the reason they are going to move back to that, right, is because when you look at how they are funding, right, they have a lot more control when it comes to these theaters. I think what will change, though, right, is we won't see, I don't know, the $8, $10, $12 movie ticket prices anymore.
Right, it's going to be
We're
30 and 40.
The 30, 40, because it's going to become this luxurious experience. It's going to be a lot limited. They're going to probably close down a lot more of these theaters. And it's going to be like, theater is today. It's antiquated, yes. It's an old medium, yes. But it still has the value that it brings, it's different. It's something luxurious, something special, not just a day-to-day thing. I mean, even when you talk about the premiere of a new movie, right? And you just listen to the hype and buzz around it, you're thinking, right, that you are about to. I remember Star Wars, right? Star Wars, the new trilogy, Episode 7, right? 30 years after the makings, they're coming back with something brand new. And then you buy the ticket. It's an $8 ticket, right? It's nothing. And I think they will find a way of tying that experience to, instead of this being just this small consumer thing, it's just going to be this big going out luxury experience.
I think one of the ideas that they came up with to counter the COVID issues was they were renting out the theater for a showing of a film. If you had a minimum of 10 people, it was worth it. I think it might have been, what was it, $300? You had to have some number of people that was where you got to the equivalent ticket price, but you could just have the theater to yourself and watch that show or that film. That was a unique idea that maybe that should be part of their model, is to have a set price for private showings.
Well, and they do that. But see, Gal, while I agree with your point, how many of those, what is it? Every 2 or 3 years, a movie premiere comes out like that? Is there really a use case for a theater to be open? To me, it sounds like maybe drive-ins are. Sounds like maybe drive-ins are.
What do you mean? What? But you look at the Marvel production rate, right?
Yeah,
you're talking about 3 movies a year like that, just by the Marvel franchise.
Okay.
Right?
All right, fine. Let's say 10 movies a year that are blockbuster, which I think is an over exaggeration, but let's say 10 movies a year are blockbuster smash hits. Does that justify a movie theater being open 365 days a year? To me, it doesn't. That would be like a baseball stadium being used for 10 games a year. They don't do that. They play 182 games. And then when it's not baseball season, they're playing soccer, they're doing hockey, or they're doing something else on that field. To me, it seems like maybe a drive-in would be a better model because it's multifaceted. You can turn it into a outdoor concert space. I mean, what do you do with the movie theater? What else can you do? You can have corporate events, yes.
Have the snack bar. Have the snack bar open 24/7.
Oh yeah, nothing. Yeah, nothing sexier than going and spending $82 on popcorn and snow caps.
Cheaper than a ball game.
I'll tell you what will do it. That you cannot do it anywhere else. They all need to be
Sit in the dark.
3D.
3D is not popular though.
It's not because it wasn't something that everybody saw. But if you saw anything, it was amazing. So if they do it like this, that will give them an added thing. You can say you can do it at home. You cannot do it. I mean, of course, sooner or later we'll have TVs that will do it. But
they did.
I don't know.
I really do think drive-ins are a great idea.
Oh, drive-ins, yeah, absolutely.
Because it's multifaceted. It allows you to do your big premieres like Gal's talking about and pack the stands with your big premieres, but then it gives you the opportunity and the availability to do other things year round. And that's the issue I see with movie theaters is there are far and few between smash hits, blockbuster releases that people are chomping at the bit to go see. And this isn't my opinion. I mean, movie theaters are even prior to COVID. You went to any showing that wasn't a blockbuster hit, the theater was empty because it's just too damn expensive.
And if you did it right, when you recreated the drive-in, it could be immune to future lockdowns.
But wait a second. What can you do? What can you do on a drive-in?
No, I'm talking about marketing, technology. You want to have the last drive-in I went to, they used to broadcast the audio over
FM.
AM radio, FM radio.
Oh, okay.
That was a cool idea. Case, yeah. But now you need to have Bluetooth. You need to have something better than that. The technology is better. Offer to people a set of Bluetooth speakers that you put on the dashboard that are battery powered that give you a really good surround sound as an extra, right? People would do it. Rent chairs so people can sit outside their car. We used to go with our van, park it backwards, open the two doors in the back. Kids would sit inside, watch until they fell asleep, and Pam and I would sit in lawn chairs on the ground.
I just think that there's more versatility with something like a drive-in. Now, not in every part of the country, but for the most part. I mean, there's three Regal. Yeah, there is. There's 3 Regal movie theater. No, there's 2 Regals and 1 AMC here in Wilmington. There's no reason for there to be 3 movie theaters.
Nick, there was a drive-in upstate near Glens Falls that.
Yeah, the Malta drive-in.
It was one that showed porn.
Oh,
at a drive-in.
Damn. Well,
so kids would go hide in the woods.
And don't ask Spence how he knows that.
I used to go camping at.
I used to go camp.
No,
I used
not
to
in the woods.
But would you go up there and pitch your tent, Spence?
Moreau Lake.
It was legitimate research.
Yes. Oh yes, I was writing a paper on weird people. No, but we would camp a lot at Moreau Lake State Park, and when I asked, we were bored. Is there a drive-in anywhere? And the person said, "Oh yeah, there is, but you don't want to go there." So that's when we heard about that place.
There's still a couple of drive-ins up near Albany. The one that's still open is called the Malta Drive-In Theater. Been obviously years since I've been there, but it was a traditional drive-in theater. Had the little concession stand in the middle with the dual projector screens on both sides. Still did pretty good business. I don't know how they don't exist down here. The weather's way nicer more times of the year. I don't know how it doesn't exist, and it's relatively inexpensive.
I think it's a land use thing. and that they don't think that the return on the land use is good enough.
But again, you look at the size of a Regal or an AMC inside of a mall, and like, Jesus Christ,
it's a lot more. I mean, yeah,
it was 15,000 square feet. I mean, it's massive, absolutely massive, and a lot of it's empty, useless space. You look at the size of the hallway corridors between the theaters, the size of the lobby. I mean, there's nobody ever in any of those spaces.
Why build small when you can build big?
Well, eventually you can't afford the real estate, and that's why you're seeing what was the mall that Epic Games just bought in Cary? The
Cary Town Center.
Yeah, they couldn't find anybody to fill that space, so a big business is going to buy it. And turn it into
but
a
they
campus.
couldn't find anybody to fill that space for like 5 years. It's
longer than that.
Yeah, it's been, but it's
been dying ever since we've moved here. So
but that because the model's failing.
I should have put in a porn drive-in.
They should have put in a porn drive. Is that what you said? Doesn't Cary Town Center back up on I-40? You can imagine that people just
people slamming on their brakes.
You know, people. I was gonna say, people
swerving.
The accidents on I-40 that people get in as they're. Oh man, good times.
Yeah.
So I mean, I wish I do enjoy the movie theater experience. I just don't find it to. I'm very much I'm cheap, which is one thing, but I'm very particular with value per dollar. We talk about this a lot with video games, right? How much value do you get for $1 or dollars, right? How much is a game? What value are you getting? And I feel the same way about movies and media and television. I'm very much, how much am I getting for that value? Is it worth 2 people and some snacks? Is it really worth $50-something to go watch a 90-minute film? I don't personally find that to be.
You know what's interesting too
it's
is
only if you're lucky.
Why with COVID didn't VR take off?
Oh, it did, but the hardware, you can't find the hardware. There's no graphics cards available. I've been trying to buy a graphics card for 8 months. I'm in desperate need of a graphics card. I would give my left hand. I was going to say something. Okay, I'd give my left hand for a 3000 series GPU. Well,
it's a good thing you brought that up. I was going to ask you actually.
Yeah.
Are there any good graphics card that have the PCI, the short?
I mean, there are. You can't buy if you want to buy a graphics card right now. You have to buy it off eBay. I mean, you can't buy anything new.
Or buy it as part of a brand computer, like an entire system.
That's not what I'm asking. Do they make any that have?
What is define good? I mean,
no, I mean something for that machine here. For if I had an empty full slot, to plug in the Delta 1010, and because I have 2 more of the short.
You need a PCI slot.
Well, you need a PCI. I'm talking about. Do they make them so it's the short PCI?
Yeah, they make an 8x PCIe graphics card, but they're not great. They'll be 2 or 4 gigabytes, and they're made for.
Well, right now it's a 2 gigabytes.
Okay. Well, yeah. I don't know what you need to define. Well, yeah, we could talk about that. I need to look at specs and see what's available.
Yeah. Keep forgetting when I'm not sitting here.
Yeah.
But yeah.
I wish them well. Just not my
We'll see what happens. We'll see. I mean, it's besides, this is not happening tomorrow, right? They're still going to take time before they can open. I mean, I don't think they'll have a problem if they'll say you can open at 50% capacity. They will not have a problem.
Hey Spence, the Glens Fall Drive-In apparently still open. I saw
that. I just responded to that. It can't be the one, because this was supposed to be like out of town somewhere. I guess I'd never really thought that could have existed, but it makes perfect sense. I mean, they had theaters that did it. I was flabbergasted. I couldn't believe that would be something.
Yeah, but I mean, they had theaters. So if they had theaters that were showing pornos, why wouldn't they have drive-ins? I mean, that was the time.
Yeah.
Spence, out
freaking hilarious.
Out of the city, as in international water kind of thing.
No, I mean, you're talking. Glens Falls is not a big city. It's a city, but it's not as towns go. You're surrounded by national parks and forests.
Yeah, the Adirondacks.
Yeah, so it's a beautiful part of the country, but I don't know how many people are in the town of Glens Falls. It is the base of Lake George, so it is a popular spot, especially in the summertime. There's a lot of people go there to visit.
Beautiful area.
It's a nice place. But Morole State Park, I remember camping there. Gosh, just had summer after I got out of high school, and the water in that lake was so clear you could walk out to where you're up to your neck and look down and see your feet. Literally, it was that clear. I don't think it's that way anymore, but same thing with Lake George. It was just so clean.
Nick, did you see that GameStop now is beginning to sell video cards?
I mean, yeah.
Yeah. There was an article about it that they're trying to diversify. So that's nice.
So didn't they just have some stock news about them?
Well, they were going through that whole stock pump and dump thing.
But I mean, something new related to them where they were going to have. I don't think it was an IPO.
Yeah, there was something that they were going to.
Something just in this last week or so, there was a story about them. The story was being revisited, but I can't remember why.
Yeah,
well,
I saw
still
it
at $180-something.
Yeah, which
right?
is insane.
Which
is retarded.
Supposed to be below 4. So
that is arguably it is the most overvalued stock on the S&P 500 by leaps and bounds. I mean, you're talking about you want to talk about a failing business model, GameStop. I haven't been to a GameStop in 3 years, I don't think. When Red Dead Redemption 2 came out was the last time I went to a GameStop. I think that was 3 years ago.
I thought you used to go and play board games in there.
Not a GameStop. That was another store called Cape Fear Games, but that's a board game store.
Okay.
Now that place is hopping because it offers. Actually, they just opened. They opened up a thing next to it called the Sideboard Cafe, and it's a little restaurant that sells like kind of sandwiches and things like that, and you can sit down and play board games. It's a really cool concept.
All right. Anything else anybody wants to bring up?
Yes, I'd like to tell everybody about something.
Yeah, tell them.
If I can. There will only be 2 more episodes of the Against the Norm show.
No.
Yes. This Sunday and next.
They better be good ones.
They will not be on the radio, but they will be on YouTube and on the podcast. And starting May 3rd, I will be doing mornings 6 to 9 a.m. on 980 The Wave here in Wilmington. So I will be a full-time conservative talk show host. So I'll have more details with that as it comes along. But that will be what I'm transitioning into full-time. So I'm actually leaving the IT field as well to do this. So
you never leave the IT field.
This is true, but I'm leaving the IT field full-time. And I'll be redirecting the ATN show site to the new home of the podcast for my radio show once we've got all the details ironed out. So thanks for all the support on the ATN show over the past couple of years. It allowed us to transition into radio. So thank you.
Back into radio.
Yes, sir.
Congratulations.
Thank you, Anna. Appreciate it.
You all do well.
Yep. So different beast. So there'll be no longer a Sunday night show, but believe me, you'll have 15 hours a week of my nonsense. So that should suffice.
How many watts is that channel?
It's their daytime. They're about, I think they're 5,000 watts daytime. And their nighttime signal is not fantastic, but they've got, they've got apps and everything like that.
That's
so
good.
yeah.
And it's going to be streaming.
Of course. Yep. We're looking at doing Facebook Live and all that stuff as well.
Yeah.
It's going to be a slow process of getting everything set back up. I'm coming in with the digital mindset with some of that stuff, but it'll get there over time. So stay tuned for that.
Congrats.
All right.
Thank you.
All right. So I have to modify the outro.
Well, you can get rid of the outro for the next little bit because it won't be relevant for weeks.
Anyway, anything else?
No, sir.
All right, guys.
Don't print or you might blue screen. Control P is a dangerous
even if you
to
even
take these days.
Even if you use a monochrome laser in black, it will still give you a blue screen.
I was blue screening with my brother 10 H210, whatever the USB black and white printer I have. I was blue screening with it. Just a test. I was having fun during the day. I was like, oh, it won't affect me. Control P, bloop, everything gone. Like, damn.
No.
So,
all right, guys.
See you later.
Thanks, Nick. Thanks, Gal, Spence. And good morning, Kathy, Hannah, Nabil, Mac, Norm, Katie and Dina, Arlette, Micha, Eleanor, Sarid. Thank you, everybody, for tuning to Computers 2K Now. We hope you enjoyed and maybe learned something from our time together. Remember to practice safe computing. Back up your hard drive and update your virus scanner. We'll be back here next Sunday at 9, but you can always reach us at computers2know.com. And remember, for the next two weeks, so tonight there is one, Against the Norm at atnshow.com. Nick does his Sunday evening show. If you are in Wilmington, you can listen to it on 106.7. The light just flickered. And on Tuesday night, Nick does his Infection podcast with Brian for gamers, survival game. We'll see you next Sunday. Bye-bye.
You are tuned to the Nissan Communications Network. If you tuned in too late, you can always watch each program in its entirety or download an MP3 audio file of it in the archives section at nissancommunications.com. Don't forget to subscribe to our YouTube channel, follow us on Twitter, and like us on Facebook. Sponsored by StreamingGear.com, Carolina Apparel, and DeltaForce.net.